If you have any questions at any point, you can either put it in the chat or you can just unmute yourself. I'm cool with either one. I did more pull-ups than I ever have in my life in the past 2 weeks. Yes, I love that. Welcome to Project Fit Chick. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Today we're talking carbs, and I was pleasantly surprised that this was requested. I did the fats one, I did the proteins one, and I feel like those were like there's a lot of it. I don't know. I mean, this one has a lot of information too, but I didn't think to do a carbs one. And then when people were like, "Oh, I love the fats and the proteins, like you should do a carbs," I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like let's do it." I've always been a carb lover. But in my extremes of dieting in the past, it is you're a carb lover, so that's what's keeping you away from your goals. Let's take out all the carbs. We take out all the carbs, and then we want to binge on the carbs, and it's kind of like that cycle. So that was a history of mine, and just trying to make like a positive relationship with carbs, and also learning different things about carbs. Timing, that was something that I never really understood, the timing of carbs, how it responds to your body. So I want to talk about that today, get a little bit nerdy in the science, and then just also keep it very, very simple with different types of carbs as well. So carbs, everyone loves them, but everyone also loves to hate carbs. Like, I feel like I get that all the time. You probably even said, I love carbs, but then if we ever like increase your calories and like you're on a reverse diet, I'm fighting you to try to get more carbs in. So this is like literally everybody loves them, but we also love to not eat them sometimes. So a couple things that I want to clear up. Carbs do not make you fat. Too many calories for your body's need make you fat. Carbs itself do not make you fat. If we avoid carbs, we can lead to health issues, nervous system issues, hormonal issues, performance decline, muscle loss, and crankatitis or crankiitis, which is just being cranky all the time. Because again, the reality of calorie deficits and the reality of cutting out a complete macro is irritability, right? So we need to make sure that we have those carbs as well, which I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later on. Now, carbs do hold on to more water. So if you saw a post that I did so long ago, I had a sponge, the ones that like they come squished, but once you wet them, they grow. That is literally a carb. Carb is literally you grabbing bread and dipping it in water, and it holds all of that water. So sometimes when I say like, hey, we need to increase carbs, whatever phase you're in, or you start finally like having more carbs, you can feel that water retention. Water retention is not necessarily a bad thing. The annoying part is if we are really focused on the scale, then that's where we kind of see it as a bad thing, because yes, you have more water, the weight goes up. But the more that you get a consistent amount of carbs, the less bloated that you will feel when increasing carbs during a reverse. So yes, at first I'm like, hey, we need to increase carbs. I want you eating more carbs. And then you have carbs and you're like, oh, I feel so full, or I feel a little bit bloated. Like, what's going on? It's not everybody. Everybody's body responds differently. But sometimes when we do go on a reverse, you do feel that like slightly bloated feeling. But the good thing is when you start to eat a consistent amount of carbs, say 200 grams or whatever it is, right? Your body just adapts to it and you don't feel that bloat anymore, right? Another thing is carbs are technically non-essential nutrients. So meaning we don't technically need them to live, which is why the keto diet gets such a like craze. But we do need them when it comes to your performance, performance at your absolute best, not only in the gym, but just on a day-to-day. So yes, technically we don't need them, but I think they're pretty essential to just kind of keep us away from just surviving. Like, yes, we can survive, but can we thrive if we are having more carbs? Now, roles of carbs. Number one is hormonal health. We're not having enough carbs in our system. Odds are one, we're probably not having enough calories, and everything starts to break down, right? Thyroids, our adrenals, like everything hormonal health will start to decline if we are not properly fueling our body. They also boost muscle growth. So this is my nerdy side of things. Carbs are technically protein-sparing nutrients, which means that in the absence of protein, your body will make do with carbs to get the job done of protein. Now, Carbs won't respond to the body in terms of your metabolism as best as protein will, but they will still help in building muscle. A protein is not the only thing that helps in building muscle. Some people are so obsessed, protein, 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 I need everything, protein, protein, high protein, this, but carbs also will do that job. And they are your main fuel of performance in the gym, which again, will help you push harder and help you build muscle. They reduce stress levels. So if we have cortisol is your stress levels. If your cortisol is spiking at different times, when we're trying, for example, to go to bed or we're trying to be calm, this is going to keep you in a very stressful state. And if this is happening where your cortisol levels are like out of whack, maybe you've been like just chronically stressed or chronically under eating, right? This is when we're in trouble. But if we have cortisol spikes at the right time, for example, in the morning when you wake up or when you're about to go into training, right, we can be more alert and see better results. But the presence of carbs will also help bring those cortisol levels down. And again, we will talk about that as we go into nutrient timing. The next thing is going to be nutrients. So all of these things here, if we are only on a fat diet or only on fat and protein, we lack in a lot of nutrients. Number 5 is that they absolutely taste amazing. So yes, they're not essential, but they taste really good. So I would take that as this is pretty essential in my life because I love the taste of food. And lastly, which a lot of people don't consider, they play a big role in social eating. If you've ever tried to go low carb, or even if you think back to any event that you've recently had, odds are there's going to be carbs in there. There's more likely that there's not going to be protein in there than there is that there's not going to be carbs. So if we are somebody that's wanting to avoid carbs or we're thinking of this negative relationship with carbs, that means every time we're going to a social setting, we are feeling that resistance towards the foods that we are having. Now let's talk about timing. And this is something that actually helped me a lot when I started to learn this. It was just like mind-blowing to me. So number 1 is pre-workout carbs. So as you probably realize, they do provide our body with energy, right? And when it comes to this, sometimes people tend to overthink this. Now, when you're in a calorie deficit or like your energy is going to go down. Like that's just the reality of it. That's just the science. Your body is going to say like, whoa, I don't want to lose fat. Whoa, I don't want you, or I want you to give me more energy. I'm going to start to slow down. That is 100%. Now, when you're at calorie maintenance, it's not like, oh, I have to have carbs in order to go to this training session because you have enough energy within your body from even, let's say, the day before. So for example, I train in the morning 9 out of 10 times, honestly, like 19 out of 20 times, I am not eating before the gym and I have enough energy from the day before. Pre-workout carbs, they are also a lot easier. Usually, they're a lot easier to digest and they won't really affect your training. And what I mean by that is if, again, we're avoiding the carbs and let's say you're having an avocado or you're having like vegetables or we're trying to keep a super low calorie pre-workout snack, those meals are usually harder for you to digest. And when it comes to going into your training session, you're probably not going to feel as light. You're going to feel a little bit more heavy, a little bit slower in that sense. My favorite pre-workout snacks, if we're saying like, hey, I wake up in the morning and I'm hungry, I do the simplest carbs, pretzels, oatmeal, a banana, a granola bar, like very simple things. But again, these are all carby meals. But like anything else, so I'll get into this again as we go. So carbs, as I mentioned, your stress levels go up, carbs will bring you down, right? Carbs help bring those stress levels down. So if we're having too much carbs and we're bringing those stress levels down way too much, it can make you also feel tired, which I'm going to switch to here, then I'm going to go back, which is why midday carbs, let's say for lunch, we don't really want to have too many carbs midday. Now, this is just because of the timing of what you have to do throughout the day. So if you have your job or like you're trying to use a lot of brain power, if you have a bowl of pasta, you're probably not going to have that energy capacity and that mental capacity because those carbs slowed you down. They brought your stress levels way too low and now you're tired, right? So that kind of goes back into this one, right? We don't want to have too much because you will feel tired. Post-workout carbs are massively important in blunting that cortisol response from when you're training. So right after your training sessions is a great time to have your carbs. Your training, for anybody that considers training part of their mental health, right? We think I go to the gym and it's to de-stress. Yes, mentally, yes, but physically, we're actually putting stress on the body. It's not necessarily bad stress, but it is stress. Your body is going into this stressful response. So after a training session, when we have those carbs, we bring those stress levels back down. Right. So that's how, if we're kind of understanding like the difference of stress levels and carbs. Right. Morning carbs. When you wake up in the morning, if you ever realize when you wake up in the morning, your heart rate is beating a little faster than usual. And this can tell you a lot about your recovery. So when you don't sleep well, your heart rate is going to be much higher. When you're stressed, your heart rate is going to be much higher. But either way, your heart rate in the morning is relatively elevated, right? Because your body just got that stress response like, oh shit, we were just calm and now I have to do things. All right, so carbs in the morning can help bring those stress levels down. And they can fuel your body and cravings for the day. Midday carbs, I just mentioned. Just be very mindful. I think this depends on the individual, but when I have a lot of carbs midday, I want to take a nap and I don't want to continue going. But the good thing is evening carbs, which a lot of people tend to like have a negative thought about, they allow our body to unwind and to get restful sleep. Because again, stress levels are high, we have carbs, stress levels go down, and that's exactly what we want when we're going to bed. So if we're thinking, when are the best time to have my carbs in a perfect world? It's right after your workouts, right in the morning, and then right before bed. So your last meal. Next thing is going to be different types of carbs. If you have any questions, by the way, let me know. Different types of carbs. We have complex carbs and then we have simple carbs. Maybe you've seen this before. So complex carbs versus simple carbs, usually people see as like the good kind of carbs and the bad kind of carbs. Now, I don't like to use the good kind of carbs, the bad kind of carbs, but here we can kind of see it there. The high nutrient dense carbs versus the one that are a little bit more low nutrient dense. Doesn't mean that you can't have simple carbs in your diet, but these are the things that we want to keep to a minimum, right? So yes, you can have your cookie, yes, you can have your cake, your chocolate, whatever it is that you want, but for the most part, we want to keep a good amount of complex carbs. All right, so these are the two extremes of like most complex and then very, very simple. All right, but complex versus simple also has, I'm losing the word, but there's a range, right? So when we think hunger signals, again, when you're in a calorie deficit, you're like, Nicole, I'm getting hungry. What can I do? We want to focus more on complex carbs versus a little bit more simple carbs, because complex carbs are going to keep you full for longer. So it can be the difference of brown rice versus white rice. Brown rice is technically more complex. It'll keep you full for longer. You won't ever catch me eating brown rice because I don't like it. But if that was the case, brown rice is a little bit more complex. Steel cut oats versus quick oats. Apples versus bananas. Again, all of these are good, but I'm just mentioning if you're like really, really hungry and you have the option, which one's going to keep you more full? Probably an apple because it's slower in its digesting. Multigrain bread versus white bread. And one that I didn't put here are potatoes. Potatoes are very, very complex. Notice the difference when you have, let's say, a protein with white rice versus when you have a protein with potatoes. Odds are you are going to be full for much, much, much longer. So this can be something that you start to test out. This is something that as well that you can kind of look up. So it kind of brings you through different types of carbs and how filling they actually are. So this is something that I like to use, especially when I am on a calorie deficit. When I'm on a calorie deficit and like my calories are pretty low and I am starting to get hungry, potatoes are my go-to because you can see here, they are going to be the most filling. So it can be a very, very simple switch like that. You're like, damn, Nicole, like I'm on week whatever and my calories are low, and you know, what can I do to make sure that I'm not getting so hungry? Hey, you've been eating rice, let's just have potatoes. Very, very simple, same calorie intake, now you're just full. So again, nerdy things. Let me move this. Okay. So this is if you need to bring your carbs down, because some of us do struggle with this. So like, as I just mentioned, if you need to bring your carbs down, we want to go for complex carbs. So I brought your calories down. I said, hey, this is a new adjustment. We're adjusting down into a calorie deficit, right? Go for complex carbs, similar to the ones that I just mentioned. Go for lower calorie, similar volume carbs, which is if you've been eating a bagel that's 250 calories, maybe you can go for like a multi-grain slim that's 100 calories. You're still having the sandwich. The volume is similar, but now we are bringing those carbs down while you're still kind of incorporating those carbs. So I actually did a Linda was like, can you check my meals? She like took pictures of her meals all week and then she uploaded and she's like, any request that you can have. And that was the first thing that I mentioned. Like she was over like 100 calories each day, which isn't a lot. So I just looked and I was like, if you switch out this bread, your 100 calories will be right in that range because it's just the bread that you're having has a lot of calories, has a lot of carbs. All right, more salads and of course keeping protein high when we have to bring carbs down. And then timing out your carbs. I find that this is something that I have to do more of when I am in that calorie deficit and I need to bring my carbs down. I have it in the morning. I try to time it around my workout as much as I can. And now, if you are somebody that needs more carbs, this one was a good realization for me as a coach because I am like a carb. Like I've always loved carbs. My family could literally, my mom used to make rice with pasta. Like that was just a thing. And I was just like, okay. So for me, it was never difficult to add carbs. When I first got like a coach and I started learning, they gave me carbs and I'm like, okay, cool. My rice comes back. But I am finding that it is common for, hey, increase your carbs. And I don't know if it's really like that fear of increasing the calories or increasing the carbs, or sometimes really not knowing what route to take. And there's really no perfect route to take. Ideally, again, complex carbs, the good kind of carbs, the whole foods over like just cookies, just cakes and stuff like that. But we can do very, very simple things. So a mistake that I made when I was like starting the journey is like, so again, let's put it into your perspective. Let's say, hey, I want you to increase your calories by 100 calories a day or 200 calories a day. Something that I did when I first got started is I was like, oh, cool. Like I can eat so much more. So instead of having like one sandwich, I'm going to have two because these slims are only like 100 calories. All right. And then I would just try to make my meals bigger and bigger and bigger, which isn't so good for our digestive health because now we're having much bigger meals that we have to digest. What the swap needs to be is, can we keep meals a similar size where instead of going for that slim, I'm now going for the bagel. I'm now going for, instead of the 60 calorie bread, I'm now going for the 100 calorie bread. That's the difference there. The taste also is very different. I love a bagel. I love whatever bread that has a bunch of stuff on it, right? The taste is going to be different, but if we can keep those the same and just go for something that has more carbs, right? That's where we want to start. Another thing is fun foods. I think this is something that we also get fearful of. Like, oh, I have so much carbs. What am I going to do at the end of the day? I have 100 calories left. Like, have the cookie, have the piece of chocolate, like add the chocolate to your oats, add the banana, add like seeds, like add these things that normally we wouldn't be allowed or allow ourselves to have. Having less veggies. This is another thing for me when I was like, oh, increase calories. Again, I went on this like bender of just trying to eat more food. When I give you 200 extra calories, if you add 200 extra calories to your plate of vegetables, it's just going to be a lot of food and it's going to be very difficult for you to eat it. So if you're finding yourself, I'm getting too full and I have so many carbs left, vegetables are good, but now we can decrease the vegetables where we're still getting them in. And now instead of opposite, when I'm decreasing calories, I make my rice smaller, I make my veggies a little bit bigger. Now it's the opposite. I bring my veggies down and I make my carbs a little bit bigger. Hope we're kind of following there. But yeah, so those are my three. When you get to the point, because everybody will get to the point of fighting me about the amount of carbs and calories that I'm getting you to, whether it's at the beginning, in the middle, or the end, I have the conversation with everybody. We want to make those swaps that are just have that same food that you're having, pick the option that is a little bit higher calorie, pick the cookie at the end of the day, get yourself something, start to have a little bit more flexibility than you would when you were dieting or when you were in the deficit. And let's just bring the vegetables down just a little bit, because if not, you're going to get really, really full. And that is it for today. Here's our motto that Maria loves to switch out for me now, and now I actually get really excited about it. This one I like. Food is love and strength is power. And this loaf looks mad cute. All right, do we have any questions? Let me get my fan, put it closer. I mentioned that it's been really, really hot, and it finally rained today. I think it's rained like 2 times in like 2 months, and it's been like 85 degrees. So it rained yesterday. I'm very happy. Any questions on anything that I've mentioned today? Any learning points? Anything? Just kind of leave it open here.
Well, I can ask, like my schedule, I work 8 to 5. Usually lunch is 11:30, 12:30, and around 3 o'clock I'll have a snack. And lately it's been some yogurt with some fruit. And that's anywhere 3 to 4, which is fine. When I leave work at 5, I get to the gym about 6. And there'll be days to where I'm tired. I don't feel hungry because I've had plenty of protein and plenty of food that keeps me feeling full. But I wonder, should I have a carb? Should I have a banana? Or I don't know, should I have something else before to give me a burst of energy that's not caffeine?
Yeah, so I would say in my personal experience, the 5 o'clock time, or like, yeah, 4 to 6 o'clock time to work out is the hardest in terms of energy and hunger, because you kind of, it falls like that. Like you have your breakfast, you have your lunch, you have that snack, and it's like, wait, dinner is right after. So you don't really get that. What I have found is I actually liked taking some of my calories for dinner. So finishing out my workout, maybe having a little bit less at night and being okay with that. But it was helpful for me to bring some of those calories to the snack and making it bigger. Because I think that, again, it's the timing. You wouldn't feel that way towards your workout if you were doing it at 3 o'clock, if you were doing it right after your snack or after dinner or in the morning. So I would try that out, but it is going to be like, where can I kind of pull? Or even moving your snack over a little bit, but I also don't want you to be too hungry. So I would test out either of those, bringing carbs from your snack. Bringing carbs from your dinner, or moving that snack over just a little bit.
Okay, which I can move the snack. It's just a matter of I'll catch the clock and it's like, oh wait, I'm going to the gym, so I should eat something. And I just I don't want to eat it on the way to the gym. So I was just trying to figure out like what is the best time to eat. Is having protein in that afternoon snack good? Should I switch it up?
I like the snack. I don't mind having a banana or something right before your workout if you're feeling hungry and you're feeling that lack of energy. Because especially like as we go into that cut, like hunger is going to go up and energy is going to go down. That's just like the reality of any type of dieting phase. So if you do need like a pre-workout snack other than the snack that you're having, and it's a banana, or if it's some like a couple pretzels, that's something that helped me a bunch when I had that 5 o'clock training time.
Okay. All right, I'll give that a try.
Yeah, try it. See if you, I think I want to also just normalize in general to everybody for anything that I say, testing things out is okay. And if you find that you try it and you're like, Nicole, I didn't like that, then it's okay. At least now you're learning like what you also don't like, but maybe it could work. And if it doesn't, we can try something else. Cool. Any other questions? Or any questions that are unrelated to today? Maybe in the gym.
Yeah, how's the new apartment?
So, apartment, finally, the paperwork went in today. So I'm really excited about that. And we're hoping to get the keys by the end of the week. I got a TV now. I got a fridge. Oh no, we haven't got the fridge yet. I got the washing machine. So everything is now like able to come in. I got the sofa. And yeah, by the end of the week, hopefully we're going to be in there. Thanks. It's been a mission. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to get an apartment, but to furnish it is so much work, especially when I literally have nothing. So it's been fun though. Any other questions? I think we're good. All right, cool. So we will leave. Actually, I want to do one more thing in the chat because I saw it today. In the chat, let's end with some positivity. I feel like we did this a long time ago and I haven't done it in a while. In the chat, I want you to imagine that you are looking in the mirror. All right, picture yourself, look in the mirror. And in the chat, write something. You're seeing yourself, something that you love about yourself. Look in the mirror. I see this. I love my XYZ. For me, what is mine? I'm going to put, I love my shoulders. I love my legs and glutes. Love it. I love my quads. Yes. I had a good hair day. Ooh, I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so I'm joining you on that one. I like that one. We got quads, we got hair, we got legs, we got glutes, anything else. You look in the mirror, I love my thighs and my jeans. Amazing. Love it, love it, love it. I love what I have accomplished in the past year. I am healthy and strong. Ooh, that's a powerful affirmation. I love my very strong legs and my beautiful green eyes. Amazing. Love a green eyes. Awesome, awesome. All right, I just wanted to end with that. Remember, every single time that you look in the mirror, before we look at anything that we could possibly nitpick at, we say, what do I love about myself? Before you even look in the mirror, so that you look at those things first and we start to train ourselves to start to look at ourselves differently. Cool. All right. Love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.